So when doing acquisitions, what is the right way to give an offer to a seller, or should you even be giving offers at all? Stay tuned and I'll explain. Hey, what's up YouTube? Thanks for joining me. My name is Graylan Stewart. So if you're new to my channel, thank you. I appreciate it. Please if you feel the need, give me a thumbs up. Definitely subscribe if you're new. My channel is all about wholesaling real estate. So that's what we do all day, every day in my business. We also buy and hold properties for long-term wealth, and we do some fix and flips for the bigger paychecks as well. But wholesaling real estate is our main strategy. That's our number one exit strategy on every single deal. That's our goal to do. So I tell you the good, bad, and ugly about wholesaling. You know, it's not all rainbows and unicorns like some people try to paint that picture, but it's not all terrible either. So I just give you my real life experiences that we experience every single day because, again, we do this business all day, every day. We wholesale nationwide. However, we do focus on a couple of different specific areas, but we've done deals all over the country. So let's get into the video. So today I'm talking about acquisitions. Obviously, acquisitions, in my opinion, is probably the most important part of the entire business, okay? You definitely have to be able to have some sales skills, good communication skills, be persuasive, of course. That's all about sales. But not only that is you got to be a good listener. So what do I mean by that? When you're in sales in general, but especially when you're talking to sellers, because keep in mind, this is a sales business. This entire business is all sales and marketing, but sales is a huge part of it because you are selling yourself to the seller / homeowner on why they should sell their property to you. So you're trying to build that relationship, build the confidence in them to have in you to be able to perform on what you say that you can do, right? You're going to buy their house for cash, but why should they trust you, okay? So here's what I see some acquisition managers failing at, including people that work for me or have worked for me, okay? You know, they're quick to give an offer before they even know the real specifics of the property, not only the details of the property, but also the motivation, okay? So keep in mind when you're doing acquisitions for wholesaling, there are 4 pillars. Everybody probably knows these pillars, but you definitely have to have the condition of the property, okay? You want to know the seller's timeline on when they want to sell, because if they say 6 months out, they're probably not super motivated. But if it's ASAP, they're more motivated, okay? So the condition of the property, the timeline that they need to sell, okay? You want to get the price out of them if possible, but there's ways around that. So I'll share that with you in a minute because that's what this video is all about, is this price portion, right? But then finally, the motivation. That's probably the most important thing as far as the person goes. So keep in mind, it's not even about the real estate at all. Obviously, the numbers have to work for us, but it's all about the person and their problem and their issues, okay? So you really, really want to dive deep into that, into their issues and their problems, and just pull that pain out. Figure out what's going on with the property, okay? What's going on with their issues? Did they go through a divorce? Are they behind on taxes? Did they get inherited this house and they live in a completely different state and it's dragging them down because they're dealing with the maintenance and lawn mowing and all the things that entails when you don't live nearby, right? So whatever that is, you got to draw that pain out. And this sounds terrible, but you want to use that pain against them, okay? Because that's leverage for us to be able to get a better deal on the property, okay? But that's another video. So today's video, we are actually talking about offers, okay? So it's the price portion of these 4 pillars, right? So remember, condition, price, timeline, and motivation. You got to get those 4 every single time, okay? So price, so offers. You know, there's some wholesalers or some companies out there that preach the more offers you give, the more, you know, more deals you're going to get and that kind of thing, which sure, that could be true in some respect, right? But at the same time, you don't want to just throw out blind offers everywhere, okay? One good key point is when you actually have a verbal agreement with the seller, you finally gone through the whole negotiating you've built the rapport and the trust and all that, and you've came to a price, right, that you both agree on, and then you just send that to, send that via DocuSign with that price on there, I guarantee you probably 80% of the time you will never hear from that seller again. So why is that? I'll tell you why. And I'm telling you from experience too, so you guys could learn. Please don't ever just send blind offers out. I preach this to my team all the time, because it's really enticing and it's really hard not to do it, but you got to be disciplined and not do it. Trust me, don't do it. So if you just send a blind offer out, let's just say, for example, you both agree on $50,000 for a property, okay? The numbers work for us, the number works for them, and everybody's happy. So you agree on $50,000. Like, cool, okay, I'm going to send the DocuSign. So I send it out to them just blindly. They have that in their email supposedly now, right, for $50,000. But you're wondering, like, man, when is this thing going to get signed? Are they ever going to, you're checking your phone, checking your email. Are they ever going to send this back? And the answer is probably no. So why do they do that? I'll tell you exactly why. Usually it's because now that they have something written in ink in front of them, they can show other buyers that, hey, their company was going to pay me $50,000. Can you beat it? So they're shopping it around. That's exactly what they're doing. That's why exactly, I've looked at our past history, in the last 4 years or so. Every time we've sent blind offers, about 80% of the time we never talk to them again. And it's because they're shopping it around. So I'll look, later down the line, if you keep track of these properties, you can see that they end up closing with somebody else later on. And you can kind of see what wholesale price was compared to what the buyer paid. So you can see that they're shopping it around. And so that's what they're doing every time. So never, ever, ever send a contract out unless you actually have this seller on the phone, okay? So a good question to ask is, hey, Mr. Seller, do you have access to your email right now? Don't say, are you at a computer? Don't say, do you have your phone? Just say, do you have access to your email right now? Because they might be in their truck on the side of the road pulled over with their smartphone and they have access to their email, right? So the question is, do they have access to their email? If they do, say, great, I'm going to send the agreement over. That's another key point. Don't ever call it a contract. Call it agreement. That's less aggressive sounding and less fearful to the seller, okay? It's always an agreement and never a contract, right? So do you have time right now and access to your email to where I can actually send this over to you right now? That way I'll just stay on the phone with you. So if you have any questions or issues, I'm here to answer, okay? So you actually have them on the phone the entire time while they're initialing and signing or whatever to make sure that they actually complete it. And if they can't, for example, if they say no, but I will later, just say, great, what's a good time I can call you back to make sure we can get this done? Well, call me back at 5:30 when I get off work. Perfect. So call them back at 5:30, get them on the phone, ask the question again. All right, Mr. Seller, it's 5:30. Do you actually have access to your email now? Yes, I do. I'm at my computer. Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and send the agreement over. So once again, we agreed to $50,000 on this property with a 30-day close, whatever. You just go over the specifics and they say, yes, perfect, send it over. So then send it over while you're on the phone. Then you will guarantee that that thing gets signed, okay? But aside from that, let's just talk about offers for a second. So when you're actually, when you're agreeing to a price, that's one thing. But when they won't give you an offer, what do you do? Because a lot of times they're like, well, you called me, so what's your offer? Or, I just called in because I figured you would just give us an offer. Your ad says you'll give us an offer or whatever, right? So here's a key point. Make sure you get the 4 pillars first, okay? So basically you want to say, well, I can't really give a true cash offer, without getting some information first. Do you have time to answer a few questions? And then obviously, Mr. Seller, we can't buy every property that we look at, but hopefully if we can come to an agreement, we can get a number that works for both of us. And if so, are you willing to, go ahead and go through with this today and get an autograph and all that? Just things like that, just kind of set it up. But you also set it up to where, every property doesn't work for us either. So that just allows them to give you the time, right, to kind of go through your scripting and your process and all the check marks that you need to do, right? So you're going to go through the 4 pillars. Now, when you're getting the condition you've got to get the major things at a bare minimum, right? The major things are the roof, the HVAC, that's central heat and air, right? Heating unit and the AC condenser outside, right? Or if they have window units or if they have nothing. So the roof, not only do they have it, is it in good condition, but how old is it? Okay, buyers want to know that stuff. The AC, sure, it's in perfect working condition, but when was it replaced last? Has it been 15 years? If so, that's probably on its way out. That's a key point to keep in your head, right? But if it is replaced in 5 years, perfect, okay? Now you want the foundation. Are there any cracks, near windows or on the brick exterior, or are any doors hard to shut or open? That's signs of foundation trouble. Not only foundation, but what type of foundation? Is it a crawl space? Is it on a slab? What is it exactly? If it was fixed, how long ago was it fixed, okay? And then you've got the electrical and the plumbing. So electrical, if it's a 1950 house and they say the electrical is working perfectly, do more digging, okay? That's not good enough. Great, it's working perfect, I'm glad. When was the last time you actually replaced all the electrical? Well, we've never replaced it. Okay, so it's original 1950. So that means whenever we flip the property or the end buyer flips it, or even, repairs it for a remodel to get it appraised and all that, it's probably going to have to be replaced just because it's old and it's not up to current code, right? So we have to keep a mental note of that. Anything older than 1960, we automatically count it as needing to be replaced, whether it's in perfect condition or not, because it needs to be. And it's exactly the same thing as the plumbing. Is it copper pipes? Is it the old galvanized piping? Is it the PVC piping, or is it PEX piping? PEX is the new stuff within the last, 5 to 10 years, right? That's the stuff that we want. The copper piping is what, oftentimes gets stolen and it's older, but the galvanized is the real old stuff. And then the PEX, or not the PEX, but the PVC is kind of, probably in the 2000s, they use that a lot, but that cracks a lot. So that's why PEX is more popular now. It's more forgiving and durable. But nevertheless, you need to know what kind of piping. If they don't know, and it's the original 1950, that's going to need to be replaced, right? So those are just key points. Those 5 things are the major things. So the roof, the HVAC, the foundation, the electrical, and the plumbing, okay? So once you have all the pertinent information, we're still not giving a price. Trust me, I don't ever give prices to anyone when I do acquisitions. I won't give a price. There's no reason to, y'all. We got to get a price out of them. If they won't give you a price, here's what you do, okay? Just say, okay, Mr. Seller, I understand that you don't want to give a price. I completely get that. But however, it's kind of hard to tell just based on the information that you told me. So, just looking at the neighborhood comps right now, I'm just kind of looking through everything. So here's the key point. You want to use the lowest comps that you can find. So are you familiar with 123 Main Street? Yeah, that's around the corner from me. Perfect. Yeah, that house actually just sold the other day for $42,000. Well, I'll never sell my house for $42,000. You're crazy. I'm like, whoa. I'm not telling you that's what we're paying. I'm just giving you facts of the neighborhood. Just giving you the details of what's actually going on, okay? Also, are you familiar with 123 Kelly Street? Yeah, that's down the street as well. Yeah, exactly. So that house actually sold for $45,000 about 3 months ago. Well, that's just crazy. And you just kind of list off 3, 4, 5 of them, however many it takes to kind of get their defense mechanism back. But what that does, it sets a reality in their mind that their house isn't worth as much as they thought it was based on those actual comps, because these are real comps that they can drive by themselves and look up for them. You can even send them the link if you need to, right? But at least they have in their head now that my property is only worth maybe $45,000 or $42,000 based on all the information that he just told me, right? So when you set it up that way, you never gave a price, but you gave facts of the neighborhood, because that is the ballpark that we need to be in, right? Because if buyers are paying that amount, that's somewhere in the ballpark we need to be, if not lower, because if they're paying $45,000 and we get it for $35,000, then we know we have at least a $10,000 spread, right? So that's kind of how we handle that. And never ever text over a price either. And if there's no comps in the neighborhood, for example, because you're probably wondering, what if there's no comps? The worst case scenario, here's what we would do. We would give them an offer range, okay? Now the range is up to you, up to your market, okay? Now based on the information they told you, you can run your repair numbers, right? maybe that number is 20,000. So let's do a quick scenario. Let's say it's an ARV of 100 grand. You figured out that the repairs are 20,000, and we want to make 10,000 as a worst case scenario, right? So on that 100,000, based on where you're at, most part of the country we multiply by 75%, because that's the end buyer's profit, right? So we're at 75 grand now. We take off 20,000 for repairs, so we're at 55,000, and we want to make 10. So that brings us down to $45,000 as a max offer. Okay, so we want to anchor low, maybe go shoot for 35, but knowing that we can pay as much as 45. But if they agree to 35, then we have a $20,000 split there, fee potential, right? But worst case scenario, they agreed to 45. So we've got 10,000 built in there. But as far as a range goes, you could always say, well, we probably would be in the range based on condition, maybe 35 to 55, whatever you want to say. Just give them a range. It's pretty broad. We probably need to do more fact finding and kind of look into this a little deeper. But then you want to actually reiterate all of their pain points. So you told us that, you're in California and this property is in Texas. So, we can definitely help you out, get that burden off of you so that you never have to pay for lawn mowing again. Never have to pay taxes again. You can cancel the utilities because that's just throwing money in the trash. And you have the peace of mind that nobody's going to be breaking in to the vacant property, as you know, is typically what happens on vacant properties. So you just kind of ease their mind on that, remind them of all those pain points, and then how you have the solution for them. We can take care of this for you today. Are you in that ballpark at all? Because if you are, then we can actually do a true assessment and look at all the high comps on our end, look at the high comps, do the real numbers and see what that number is and give them a true offer at that point. But this is already after you've broken down all the barriers and all the walls, and they've probably given you an offer at this point because they're like, I can never do 45,000, but well, what's a number that you could do? What number would work for you? Well, I might be able to make 52 work. They're probably going to give you a number at that point after you do all of those things. So anyway, that's how we do it in our business. That's how we try to train our acquisition managers. Some of them are more stubborn than others because they're set in their ways and they're used to doing things a certain way. But if you really train on this all the time and get that point across to them, I think it's beneficial. And once they understand all that, your deal flow goes up tremendously because it's just way more effective, guys. Trust me, we've been doing this a long time. I've been in sales my entire life, but especially for property sales, that is definitely the best way to do it. So take that to heart. Rewind the video, watch it again if you need to, because it works. So anyways, thank you guys for sticking around so long. I appreciate you. Hopefully you got some nuggets out of that. If you did, please smash the thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.